Hola, hola, and welcome back to my show, La Super Comadre Claudia of RadioCrystalUSA.com. And I'm super excited to be here recording and sharing and just, breathing. And that's what this is about is if you can take a breath, if you are alive and kicking, do what you can to move into your goals, into your dreams and make them happen. But make sure you take care of your health because right now, health is wealth. So, hey, I always like to start off with a little bit about what's going on with La Super Comadre. So, as you know, I've been in education for a while. That's my passion. That's one of my loves. That's what I do during the day, aside from all the other amazing work that I do, whether it's with the National Hispanic Professional Organization or it's being a mom to two amazing girls, one who's now a teenager and one who's a tween. Um, Volunteering, just doing the work that needs to be done whenever something needs to be done. I also love to sing, so I've had opportunities to sing here and there. But yeah, so I just wanted to share a little bit about my 24th year in education. This is my 24th year. I can't believe it. So I'm not even going to do the math of when I started. You figure it out. But today, it was joyful tears that came out of my eyes, but I was a little sad, because today I walked in or yesterday I walked in through the doors of what could potentially be my last year in education, probably my last year in education. But I am working towards doing something outside of education. And I know it's going to be connected with working with kids in the community somehow, some way. And I'm already envisioning what the position is going to look like, whether I create it or I become part of another organization outside of education, but it's always going to be connected somehow with children or people that guide children or the community because that's where my passion lies. But I know that during COVID, you've heard my story. When I was recovering, I learned a lot about myself. I knew that there were some things I had to just think about and work it out and come to terms with. And one of the things was, it's time to look for something outside of education. Not that I don't love it, I do. I've experienced everything from being in the classroom to being an assistant principal to being an education consultant to writing a children's book to being a reading interventionist, supporting the kids that need it the most when it comes to reading. And I loved every joy, even every time it was a low point, I've embraced that too. All the challenges, all the highs, all the lows, the roller coaster ride of being in education. I have embraced it all because it's made me the person who I am. But yeah, so I walked through the doors of what is probably going to be my last assignment. But one thing that today touched me so much, and for many of you that have been keeping up with me and Mr. Arenas, who was my mentor, who was the person that I went to every time I had an issue with teaching, who was the person I went to when I was considering becoming an assistant principal before I even graduated from getting my master's, the person that I went to every time I had an issue, personal and professional. As you know, he passed away from COVID back in a year right back in October, and I think it was October. But I really miss him, especially right now because he was the one that I would either text or call or message and ask about the first day of school. How is it going for you? This is what's happening. This is what I'm thinking. And he's not there. But one thing that really got to me today is that there are a number of teachers that have left from my school, and they left all of their teaching materials and books and posters and manipulatives in the teacher's lounge. It was mountains of stuff everywhere. And I walked into that room, into that lounge to do something else, and I saw all this stuff, and I'm like, oh, wow, someone's gonna need this. I don't know who. So I started collecting it and taking it to my room yesterday. And then today, when I started sorting through it, tears just came out of my eyes because I was doing exactly what Mr. Arenas always did. Every time Mr. Arenas came across a pile of unwanted teaching materials, he always looked through it and he would always take out and pull out and sort out the best things out of that pile. And then he would turn around, either give them to other teachers, use them himself, or just find a home, have them ready to give to someone that needed it. So in a way, I'm still living his legacy. Mr. Dennis is still alive and well in my heart and in the work that I do. And I'm actually collecting these items and donating them to um, children whose parents are here seeking asylum from Guatemala and Honduras. And I'm kicking off Lupe's Backyard Backpack Project. I came up with it and I'm finally kicking it off unofficially. I'm getting all the paperwork done, but Lupe's Backyard Backpack Project is all about providing, books or supplies and connections to services for parents, for families that need either a leg up, they need a little bit of help to get themselves going. Because for me, I always live with that quote, to whom much is given, much is expected. We have the responsibility that if we made it to turn around y darle la mano a alguien que necesita una ayuda. That is something that has been ingrained in me and what I will always carry it forever. So, Mr. Arenas, wherever you're at right now, I miss you immensely. And I thank you for showing me how to always be a servant leader in every capacity that I've been in. And I'm honored and blessed to have crossed your path. And I hope that wherever you are, that you're looking down on us and you're proud of all of the teachers and educators and students whose lives you touched and whose legacy will live on because of you. So I dedicate this show to all of my educator warriors, all of my teachers, counselors, cooks, bus drivers, crossing guards, dyslexia teachers, any school nurses, principals, administrators, superintendents, anyone that has stepped into the arena of working with children, of working with students, of working with parents, and then going into this year, doing our best, even as the COVID numbers rise, are going high, are coming up around us, that we're still able to do the work that needs to be done, whether it's virtually, whether it's in person, but that we do it safely with our masks, keeping our distance, but continuing to hold on to health is wealth. Because when we're healthy, everyone else around us is healthy, business continues. So I'm excited to be here today. As long as I'm living and breathing, I'll do what I can to move my community and myself and my girls forward. Adelante a todos mis maestros guerreros. Gracias. So, where is my super comadre Liliana? ¿Cómo estás?
Hey, 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 acá, behind the scenes. I'm trying
So,
to no llorar.
I'm sorry.
Try
I'm
not to cry.
sorry.
Try not to cry because I'm also into education.
Yes.
And I love teaching. And this year I'm gonna be teaching health and PE. This year I'm gonna be
Woo!
so active, and I'm so excited.
So congratulations, my super comadre Liliana. So I'm excited to hear about you as you step into the role. Whatever I can do, I'm here. Maybe not next to you, but hey, look, I can always help you even from far away. So,
That's
so
right.
how have you been? What is new with la super comadre Liliana?
Well, I have been so blessed and so excited and so happy about all the events I've been in attending. I've been to some friends who wrote books, and they had a blast. They had a big, huge event, and they were signing autographs and signing their books. I love seeing my friends grow up and just explore other areas in their lives.
Yes, yes. So share who, because she's a comadre, she's a super comadre. So talk about
Estela
la super comadre.
Lopez, I
Yes.
mean, so you are
Woo!
here so much, and I went to her book signing, and it was
Yes.
awesome. I'll share some videos later on because one
Yes.
of your guests was there too, and he's going to be part of their show.
That's right. So, and that's what this is about. La Super Comadre Claudia is about elevating stories, journeys, resources, and and these amazing super comadres and super compadres too have
Yes.
something that you, your family can take to better yourself, to better your community, to better just everything around you. And I am excited to hear more about Estela Lopez and what she's been doing. And yeah, and we're going to be posting everything that has to do with her and her upcoming conference and other book signings. So that way you too can be connected with la super
Yes.
comadre Estela Lopez. Vive
That's
tu
right. We're gonna
propósito.
be talking
Vive.
about her and her
Yes.
and the people that surround that and to surround her.
Yes.
So, but before we continue, comadre, we need to talk
Yes.
about our sponsors.
I know. Woo.
We want to thank you, sponsors, for being part of our shows and our radio for so long. I want to thank especially San Miguel Event Hall, BAMSA Global, and they've been with us for 5 years already, and I would like for them to know that we are so happy you're part of RadioCruceUSA.com. And let's see
Woo.
our new sponsors for this year. And if you want to be part of our team, if you want to be one of our sponsors, talk to us directly. ¿Okay? Muchas gracias a todos nuestros patrocinadores. Gracias, gracias, gracias. Y aquí van, ellos son.
Woo! What a beautiful presentation
Thank
of
you.
all of our sponsors that were noted here in this amazing production that you put together, comadre.
Thank you
Gracias.
so much. And remember, if you want to be one of our sponsors, just call us directly or just connect with us in any of our platforms. Right now, we are live on, let me see, four Facebook channels, four Facebook pages, two YouTube channels, Twitter, and of course, our online radio station, radiocrucelusa.com. Y vámonos. Ahora sí, comadre, dinos quién viene.
Sí, pues mira, tengo un super compadre nuevo. Él nunca ha estado en el show. Ha estado en el show contigo, ¿verdad?
Ajá, ya estaba conmigo.
Sí, conmigo. But today I wanted to bring him onto my show because we're going to be talking about something that to me interests me so much because we're going to be talking about two things. And I'm bringing him on because it has to do with construction, and that's big right now, especially
Yeah.
here in Houston, Texas. You know, lots of construction going on. And the second thing has to do with networking, which is so needed. So I couldn't think of a better person to bring on than the godfather of networking. No one else, no one better to hold that title than Pablo Fabrizio Valle. Welcome.
Woohoo! Bienvenido, bienvenido.
Thank
All
you.
right,
Thank
comadre, I'm
you.
gonna be here behind the scenes.
All right, so you are an official. We've been crossing paths left, right. Now you're here. It's official. I'm going to hand over the crown to you. Here you go. Take it. You are now wearing the Super Compadre crown. Welcome to La Super Comadre Claudia show. Bienvenido.
Claudia, thank you so much. It's an honor and pleasure for me to be here. I always say that I'm truly blessed and highly favored. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Yes, sir. Especially during these times, it's like keep it going forward. What can we do to, to assimilate to the times? What can we do to roll with the punches? And I wanted to bring you on because you and I have crossed so many times. You're always supporting me and in the groups that I'm a part of, from NHPO to a book drive, a food drive, a networking event, and then it just as an awesome human being. I had a great time to celebrate my birthday. You came all the way down, and we had an amazing time celebrating the 80s, los 80s.
It's amazing. And I think you had mentioned this in your show earlier today, and it was a phrase that got to my heart. And it said, to whom much is given, much is expected. And like I said, I've been truly blessed. And I've had a lot of mentors here in Houston. And I'm not originally from Houston, but when I came to Houston, I was looking to network. I was looking to connect with other groups, and I did not know anyone here in Houston. And the only people that I knew were my mom, my grandmother, and my sister. And I always say this: whenever you wanna start a business, the least people that are going to support you are your mom, your grandmother, and your sister. So basically, I didn't have anyone here. So that's
Mm.
why, when I was looking to network, to look for groups, there was people along the way that helped me, that mentored me, that provided me that support, and I was able to grow. And now, like you said, to whom much is given, much is expected. And you know what? It's a great joy to be able to give back to La Super Comadre, to all the community that has always supported us.
And that's what it's about. One of the things that I always, teach my own kids, as well as, children that cross my paths, and even parents during parent workshops. I've done it all. I've taught everything from adults to young children, to teachers, to parents. And I always let them know, hey, when you make it, your job is to look back and see who's behind you y darle la mano, because it's our responsibility. And even if maybe it might not be the community that helped you per se, maybe you moved away, maybe you're somewhere else. Wherever you go, think of what it is that you can be a part of that's bigger than you. Because that's how the world runs, that's how the world works, that's how you build legacy, that's how you continue whatever needs to be continued, whether it's something you built or something someone else built. It's is darle la mano a alguien, because and people sometimes will say, well, I don't have a lot of money to give, or I'm still trying to pay off my college debt. And I'm like, hey, it doesn't always have to be money. It could be your time, it could be your talent, or it could be your treasure. Either one of those. There's always something, and it doesn't have to go back to the community that raised you or helped you. It could be in the new community that you're in, wherever you're at. That's wherever you can make an impact. Do it. And many will say, "Pues I don't know, I don't think the imposter syndrome kicks in." I'm like, no, no, no. You, whatever it is that you do, even if it's making phone calls, even if it's something you do from your house, even if it's something you do from your kitchen table, every piece counts. So I'm with you. So
And you know what? It's interesting. I love the concept that you believe in, and that is servant leadership. It's not just being a leader; it's being a servant leader.
yes, I learned that from my mentor. If you heard earlier, Mr. Arenas. The last time that I had a chance to see him, I actually was out in El Paso training some of his teachers, and we met for dinner before the training. And when he showed up at the restaurant, he had a spoon in his back pocket, not like a serving spoon, no una cuchara chiquita, like a serving spoon, like for the frijoles, the arroz, and he had it in his back pocket. I walked into the restaurant. He was standing there, and I hugged him. I hadn't seen him in a while, and I'm like, dude, what's in your back pocket? And he's like, oh, I forgot. And he had a big old spoon, and I go, why do you carry? And at that time, he was already an assistant principal. I go, why are you carrying a serving spoon in your pocket? He said, oh, Macias, it's because it's to remind me that I'm there to serve. That as I walk around with this spoon, the serving spoon in my pocket, it reminds me that when I'm about to get upset over whatever with the teachers or the schedule or the students or the discipline or the this or the that, I always remember, because I have chosen this path, that I'm here to serve, and I'm a servant leader. And that's where I got that from him, and to hold on to that.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is fantastic. I guess we should
Yeah.
all carry a spoon. It doesn't have to be a big spoon. We should all at least carry a little spoon and remind ourselves of that.
I like that. I do like that. So my super compadre Pablo, tell me, when you have given yourself, or maybe it was given to you, the title of the Godfather of networking. I love it. When was that born? Or when was that title given or bestowed to you? Talk about it. That.
It's a, yes, it's interesting, the story of how that particular name came about. I've been a networker all my life, from being a professional in engineering to being an entrepreneur. So a couple of years back, about 8 to 10 years ago, I had a communication coach, and I call her La Madrina. So one time I had a session with my communication coach, and she was asking me, she's like, "Tell me a little bit about, what you're passionate about." I said, "You know what? I'm passionate about serving. I'm passionate about connecting people and, making things happen." And then she says, "But what is it that you like?" And one of the things, being from New York, I told her, I said, one of the things that I love and I love to watch is La Mafia, the mob, the mob. I love the way they're organized. I love the way they're structured. Now, I do not condone the business they're in. Okay. That's a big, big, big disclaimer right there. I don't condone the business, but I love the way they're structured, they're organized, and that really fascinates me. And then one day she said, "Well, you know what? You're going to be the godfather. And now, since you love to network, and I created a networking organization 10 years ago, almost 12 now." She said, "You can be the godfather of networking." So she would always call me the godfather of networking, the godfather. And then I think it was like maybe 5, 6 years ago, I started using it as a
I love
branding
it.
piece. And it has helped me a lot, because you know what? El Padrino is always one that brings their God children to
Mhm.
them and helps them out. So that's how that name came about.
I love it. I love it. I love how and I love how you then take that Spanish, like our Latino heritage, connection to it because you're right. It's like, I didn't even think about that until right now when you said El Padrino. I'm like, that's right. El Padrino is the one that's there to support you con la escuela, cómo estás, mijito, qué te pasa, qué necesitas, qué te falta. That makes total sense in English and now in Spanish. Wow,
There
the
you go.
beauty of bilingual and bicultural. And then and I was just remembering the time when I had the chance, tell us a little bit about your show. Do you have a radio show on Univision? How's I remember
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, here's the story. I always wanted to be a host, a radio a host, un locutor, como dicen en español, right?
Sí, sí,
So
sí.
25 years ago, that was my dream. But then a couple of years back, I think about 5 years ago, through the power of connections, through networking, I was able to a guy that was working for Univision and Telemundo for over 25 years. At that time, we reconnected, and he was already at ESPN. So I helped him out, and then he said, "What can I do to help you?" And then I said, "Hey, Jimmy." Jimmy is his name. I said, "Jimmy, if you're asking me what you could do to help me," I said, "I want to be a radio host." And he said, "I can help you. I can help you be on ESPN Deporte Radio in Spanish. So tell me." He's like, "Tell me, do you have your radio intro?" I'm like, "Radio intro?" I had no idea what a radio intro was. Then he goes, "Do
Uh-huh.
you have your radio outro?" I said, "Jimmy, if I don't have my intro, you think I'll have an outro?"
I love
And
it.
then he's like, "Do you have your guion, your show guide?" I said, "No." And he goes, "Okay, so what's the name of your show?" I said, "I don't have a name." And he's like, "Radio before?" I said, "Never." He goes, "You don't have an intro, an outro. You don't have a name for your show. You don't have a guide for your show,
Uh-huh.
but you want to be a radio host." I said, "Jimmy, yes,
Yes.
it's been my for
Yes.
25 years." I said, "You just give me a mic and wake up the dead." I said, "Just
There you
help me
go.
out, and I'll be." I'll make it. So sure enough, he said, "Okay." He gave me a couple of assignments. He goes, "The first thing is you have to come up with a name." And that's when I came up with the name, along with my business partners, Enfoque Houston. So Enfoque Houston grew of that desire of me wanting to be in the radio. And sure enough, we started 2 seasons, 2 years in ESPN Deporte Radio. Then ESPN closed down the franchise locally here. The Spanish franchise closed down here. And a lot of my friends, colleagues were saying, "Well, Pablo, what's next for you?" I said, "I'm going to go to an even bigger a network." He's like, "Bigger network than ESPN?" And he goes, "What network is that?" I said, "I have no idea, but when I figure it out, I'll let you know."
I love
About a
it.
couple of weeks later, through another friend, connections, through networking, I met a great friend of mine, Fernando Hernandez, that was working for Univision for 25 years. And he said, "Would you like to bring your show to Univision?" And I'm like, Great. Yes, sure. And sure enough, we brought Enfoque Houston to Univision for about 2.5 years, right after the pandemic hit, and that's when
Yeah.
we had to, everything was closed. And then what we did is we reinvented ourselves, and now the show is a digital show that gets aired on Roku TV, Fire TV, and all the social media platforms.
Woo! The importance and the power of networking. Right. So I will also, and I want to take a little bit further back. You said that you've been networking for a while. When did you know? When did you learn? Did someone show you the ropes? Did it just come natural for you to connect? Talk about the journey, because networking is such a powerful action. It's something that you don't just show up and do at a networking event. Networking is like literally happening anytime, anywhere. You could be at the grocery store in line. You don't even know. You never know who you're going to be talking to. So for you, when did you learn it? Did someone show you the ropes? Talk about that.
Yes. So networking for me started about, I'm going to date myself now,
It's all right.
over 25 years ago when I was in college. When I was in college, I had a mentor that told me, in order for you to go out there to build a resume, you have to participate. You have to connect with other groups. You have to connect with other organizations within the university, and also you have to start networking with other with potential employers. And I was like, so how am I going to do that? And my mentor told me the first thing you want to do is you want to join the student organization, the student association. So back then during college, I went and became a member of the American Society of Civil Engineers, the student chapter within the university. That's when I first started going to these professional student organizations and networking with people, just connecting with people. And then my mentor was saying is, in order for you to be found, in order for you to stand out from your competition, you have to continuously participate, actively participate within the organizations. And this is a key, not just for 25 years ago, but for now, people that are participating, attending networking organization events. It's not just about attending the events, it's also about participating. So then what I did is I started running for office. And sure enough, with all the network, the connections that I was making within the university, I was able to run for treasurer, secretary and treasurer. And then ultimately I became vice president of the student organization, and then ultimately president. And that gave me a great exposure about connecting within the university. And of course, it gave me a big head up, leeway, if you will, when I graduated, because I had already made several connections with the outside world, if you will, with the entities and potential employers. So for me, once I graduated, it was not something hard for me to get a career or start my career or get a job. And I continue doing the same thing with entrepreneurship, connecting, going out there. And when I came here to Houston about 16 years ago, I always talk about this story. I was looking for a networking group that would cater to a professional and to an entrepreneur. As you know, we have the chambers, but the chambers pretty much cater to people that have established business or people that want to take their business to the next level. Professional associations cater to specific industries like
Mm-hmm.
engineers, architects, lawyers. And I couldn't find one that had a combination, both entrepreneurship and professionals. So, like Super Comadre, I always say, if you don't find what you're looking for, go out there and create it. So that's how we created the first organization about 12 years ago, called the Latino Professional Business Network, where we integrated professionals, entrepreneurs, and also small business owners. And then eventually that organization became a networking organization called Small Business Connection. And here we are today, networking with La Super Comadre.
Yes. And this is it. This is what it's about, because you just, walked us through the outline of the beginnings and how you have gotten to this point, which is going to segue us into now this amazing summit. And I also want to, throw in there a question before we get into the summit, because I want for, like, we're here, too much is given, much is expected, because this is a learning opportunity for anyone that's in college. I mean, networking should be done or taught in high school, in middle school. the art of public speaking should start like in younger kids, like in elementary level, because I was afraid to speak up. You could put a mic in front of me and I could sing a song, no problem. But then later, and it wasn't until I got a little bit older that I got a little bit more comfortable with talking about myself and putting out what I wanted. But no one taught me that. I just kind of stumbled into it. And Mr. Arenas, which was my mentor as a teacher, he was the first one when I was 22, out of college, when I asked him, "Hey, Mr. Arenas, I noticed that you've been asked to direct this, and you've been asked to go on these teacher development travels, to another city to go to some conference, some teacher conference. I want to go to? How did you become the grade chairperson? How are you leading that grade level? How are you doing this?" I find, and that's me because I like to combat. So maybe that's my way of networking. Like, I went to Mr. Dennis, I go, "How do you do this?" And he goes, "Well, Macias, you got to put yourself out there. If they don't know what you want, if you're not saying it, then they're not going to invite you or send you to the conference. So just go to the principal's office, stick your head in the door after school or whenever your lunch is, and just say, 'Hello, just want to let you know that I'm available. I like to be the grade chair, or I like to do this.'" And I go, "Oh, is that how you do it?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "Well, I thought if I just work really hard and my kids do really well in my classroom, they just pick you." He's like, "No, that's not how it works. You gotta put yourself out there." And I was like, "Okay, got it." So that, I mean, within 2 years, I was 22, 23, 24, 25. By the time I was 25, I was an assistant principal. By the time I was 30, I was a principal. By the time I was, and then I became an education consultant. So I quickly moved up, and I didn't really call it networking. I didn't know I was networking. I was comadreando. But it's kind of it's kind of the same thing there. It kind of goes hand in hand. The gift of gab and the gift of reaching out. But for those that aren't gabby like me, like blah blah blah, and those that might need a little bit of push to put themselves out there, what do you believe are maybe three actions or pillars that people, young folks, should follow and practice that would make them an effective networker? What were just three things that quickly come to mind? Because, people remember things in threes.
The first thing that I would say is have an objective. You definitely have to have an objective. Why is it you want to go out there? Why is it you want to put yourself out there? You just answer that for yourself, comadre, because you went out there, put yourself out there because you were pursuing a dream of becoming an administrator, assistant principal, ultimately a principal, and then of course a consultant. So first of all, you have to have an objective. Second, I always tell people, after you have an objective, develop a plan. Networking also requires a plan. Develop a plan, determine your key market. I always tell them your niche market. Where is your niche market? Why are you networking? And then number three, take action. Because you could plan all you want. If you don't take action, nothing is going to happen. Like La Comadre said, put yourself out there. It's interesting. And I always mention this because a lot of people believe that networking is about getting to know so many people. But most importantly, networking is not about how many people you know, but how many people know of you, how many
Mm,
people know you.
mm. That is key. You just put that together, and I can already envision like a little bookmark or something in a card right now that you can just put this on there because it's so simple. But it does. You're right. It does take having that objective, know what you want, developing that plan, and knowing what your key market, where you're going to go, what your niche is, and then the final part, which is taking that action, is putting yourself out there. And yeah, you're exactly that's exactly how you did it. And I could just say, if someone were to ask me, well, you got to comadrear and comadrear and comadrear some more. But is that but like you're right, it's knowing it's not the amount, it's not quantity, but it's the quality. And that's what you want to think about is the quality. So before we go into this amazing summit that I want you to talk about, I want to just take a pause right now, and I want to give a shout out to a number of people that are connecting.
Oh, wow. Creo que se le fue el internet a la comadre, pero como quiera, aquí estamos, Pablo.
Fantastico. I think we just lost La Super Comadre, but she'll be right back after these messages from
After these
Liliana
messages.
and Elizondo.
Bueno, vamos a aprovechar. So let's take advantage of this and let's go to a quick commercial. Regresamos. BAMSA Global te ofrece todos los servicios de inmigración para ti y para tu familia. Con más de 40 años sirviendo a la comunidad de Houston, BAMSA Global. Visita sus oficinas de lunes a sábado. Todo su personal es 100% profesional y amable. Más de cerca de 40 años sirviendo a la comunidad de Houston. Gracias BAMSA Global por patrocinar radiocristalUSA.com.
Hola, buenas tardes. ¿Le puedo ayudar en algo?
Todos los servicios de inmigración, ciudadanía, residencias, permisos de trabajo o de viaje, peticiones familiares, renovaciones, extensiones, servicios de abogados y mucho más. BAMSA Global. Llama al teléfono en pantalla para más informes.
I'm
¡Hola, comadre!
I do magic. I disappear and I appear again. So I want to do a quick saludo shout out to Paloma, amiga, amigos, saludos comadres y compadres. Sergio Hernandez, Sergio, who is connected with us. Estela Lopez, la super comadre Estela Lopez. I want you to talk a little bit about that and your connection with la super comadre Estela. Saludos, she says, abundant blessings to us. And then we have Andrew de Leon, chingona eres. That's right. I hold on to that title. And Estela says, gracias for the apoyo we're giving her with her. She just had a book signing. Now she's going to have another event coming up. She's giving us saludos as well. Saludos a los compadres, las comadres, y también el padrino de networking. Bienvenido. Also, Estela was saying, also said, praying for a blessed school year, praying for our students and our teachers. Yes, thank you. And yes, the power of networking, says Estela Lopez. And then how many people know of you? I love that. I love how she gave that, accent to what you just said. And super comadre Estela Lopez. Yes, so we're here. We're here for you. And it's about the connections. It's about, I always talk about the C's of me, because my name is Claudia, starts with a C. I always think about, connecting, collaborating, communicating, creating. Those are the words that come to me. And that's, that's what I try to do is do that. The power of connecting.
Interesting. Now talking about the power of connecting, I just wanted to interject. And, during the pandemic, we were ready to, we rented some space, a co-working space, over 18,000 of shares, office space. Long story short, pandemic came, we shut down, we had to reinvent ourselves. So we went virtual. And when we became virtual, I connected with Estela, super comadre Estela Lopez, during the pandemic while we were doing our virtual networking events. So I had been connected and collaborating, communicating, working with Estela Lopez for about a year. And she invited me to her radio show. I invited her to my show, to our networking events. And then it was at the NHPO membership drive that we met in person for the first time.
Woo! There. I love it.
Networking and the connections. And, then Estela, along with her business partners, Mariel and Clarice, invited me to be a special guest at their upcoming conference. So talk about the power of networking. And always remember, it's not about how many people you know, but who knows of you.
Exactly. And here we have a little video, and I want for Liliana to play some of the audio. So Liliana, play some of the audio of this amazing event that has to do with La Super Comadre Estela Lopez. It was a book signing. It was an unveiling of, what her work and her mission, her life work is. Right now, we're seeing that they had a fabulous saxophone player there that was serenading the people. So I don't know, Liliana, could you bring up some of that audio so that the listening audience could hear, perhaps? And if not, I'll just continue talking about it. So tell me, what will you be doing at Estela Lopez's next event?
Yeah.
When
So
and
it
where?
was interesting, right? So that was the book signing. So it's Clarice and Mariel and Estela Lopez. They came together for the second time because they had already had an event. Vive tu propósito, live your life purpose. They had a huge event that was sold out about 2 years ago, back in 2019. They were going to do the second part of that same event the second time around, but then the pandemic hit and they had to postpone. So now what they're planning to do it is in October 17th. And that particular event was like I would say a preview of what's coming. That was an opportunity for them to do their book signing and talk a little bit about what's coming up. And most importantly, this time around, what they did is they invited some additional guests to be part of their conference. This is Live Your Life Purpose Conference. The three partners are going to be talking: Clarice, Mariel, and Estela. And then now they invited, I believe, 3 or 4 more speakers. We have the owner, the CEO of CBBA Radio. We have Vanessa Carrasco. We have, I think it's someone from Dallas, and then myself as guest speakers on October 17th. And they have one of the largest rooms at the Match Houston Theater in the Midtown downtown. So it's going to be something phenomenal, and it's going to be focused on live your life purpose, vive tu propósito, and each one of us are going to have a unique message focused on living your purpose.
Yes, yes, and in this next book, she has Despiértate, Despierta y Levántate. I love it. Wake up and get up and go. I mean, these are amazing, amazing titles. Live your purpose, vive tu propósito. I mean, and it all just connects with the 3 steps you came up with being an effective networking person. Networker is, have an objective, develop a plan, make it, find a market, and take that action and put yourself out there. I mean, it's right there in even the titles of her books, the stories, and the impact that she is making and has made and will make. I mean, it's just now threefold with the 3 women that she's working with, and now bringing you in along with the other speakers. It's going to be an amazing. I'm going to have her soon because I want her to come on soon so she can focus and give her own story and background regarding this amazing event that's coming up on October the 17th, which is, at the Match Houston. It's downtown, ¿verdad? It's a beautiful venue. Yes, beautiful venue. Yes. So, I'm just excited. I'm excited to see everyone as they continue to go adelante. I always say adelante, because that's what it's about. And for us to be there to hey, whatever we could do, let's push it forward. Now, speaking of pushing forward and providing adelante opportunities, talk about this Women in Construction Summit. Why Women in Construction Summit? Why is that important? Why now? And when is it?
Wow. Okay, that's a handful of questions there, but let's break it down. Let's break it down. One of the things is construction. Just focusing on construction here in the Houston area. As I always tell everyone, I'm in construction as an engineer. I work in construction, and in the next 5 to 7 years, there's going to be a lot of opportunities in construction with local, private, and government entities because of all the stuff that's going to be built in the next 5 to 7 years. Now, we all know that construction is a male-dominated industry. Why women in construction? There is a lot of women in construction that have the capability of doing work with the private entities and the government. But you know what? One of the things that I feel that is missing is that education, that exposure to both women and minority. And it's so important that now Harris County has established a program a certification program that encourages people to be women business enterprises and minority MWBEs. So it's so important that Harris County has instituted a program. The Port of Houston has instituted a program. Metro has already a program, and of course, the city of Houston has a program. So it is so important because we know that there's a lot of women that have the ability to perform work, but you know what? They may lack a little bit of information. I'm not saying knowledge, information in order for them to be able to do work with the government. So now is the perfect time to help women get into this male-dominated market, because you know we would always say that yes, the males dominate the market. They go out there, they create these construction companies, but in the background, these companies are usually managed by women. Anyway, now we want to put the women in the forefront.
At the front, moving them to the front.
That's
and
right.
I like what you said. It's for lack of information. It's almost like breaking open a door, breaking open that seal that, hey, come on in. You two need to be informed, and here's how we're going to do it. Now, I just pulled up the flyer, or Liliana just pulled up the flyer, and I want you to describe how beautiful this flyer looks, because I'm an aesthetic person, and it drew my attention. And I love how way at the top, it begins with Women in Construction Summit. I'm interested. I want to go. I'm going to be participating. Talk about, when this is happening, how we can participate, because I know things have changed up a little bit because of, the COVID numbers, and we want to, like I said before, health is wealth. If we're healthy, then, that's it. And when we're healthy, we can move forward with anything that needs to be done, such as women in construction. So talk about when, where, and why, and how.
Okay, so Women in Construction is going to be taking place on August the 26th. It's going to be on a Thursday, and the original plan was for us to have an in-person event from 6 to 9. Now, we're not going to have the in-person event. We're going to have a virtual event, but the quality of the people that are going to participate is going to remain the same. The information we're going to provide is still going to remain the same. The in-person event was going to be a free event. The online event is going to continue being a free event. We're going to provide you with the link so you can register at no cost to attend the networking event. What we're going to do virtually, we're going to give people that get there early, we're going to give them the opportunity to virtually network, to connect with other people, to share their information, to give their elevator pitch, if you will. And then what we're going to have is we're going to have two panels of experts. One panel of experts is going to be moderated by our great NHBO chair, Ilsa Garcia. She's going to be moderating that panel. And then Adriana Gonzalez, president of La Cámara de Empresarios Latinos, is going to be moderating the second panel. The first panel is going to be comprised of mainly women in the private and public sector being the government. And we're going to talk about the state of construction in Houston and the opportunities that exist, or the lack of opportunities for women, and how we can increase those numbers of women and minority to participate and partake of these opportunities. The second panel is going to include representatives from the Port of Houston, from Harris County, Metro, City of Houston, and we're going to talk specifically about how to do business with these entities, what certification they need, and how they could go about getting this certification. So it's going to be a very dynamic summit that we're going to be providing this information. Now, I'm telling these people that this is not going to be a workshop. This is not going to be a drawn out training. This is going to be an informational, impactful summit where you're going to know what's going on in the industry locally here in Houston, and how you're going to be able to do business with the private sector, with the government entities, and also how you can obtain funding to run your business.
I heard money. I heard impact. I heard dynamic, powerful. I love how you said it's informational and impactful. Two key words right there, because it's all about, you're right, it's all about that information, disseminating that information, making sure that we have access to it, and you have made that happen already. I'm already saying that you already made it happen. Even though it's not until next week, it's already happening. That's how
And
I see things.
and the other thing, super comadre, that we want to mention is that it's not just going to be a summit. We give you all this great information, we provide you with all this education, but the other thing is that we're also going to go and do a follow-up of this summit, where
Mhm.
those that are ready to run, those that want to do business with these private entities and with the government entities, those that want to bring their business to the next level, we're going to help them and we're going to guide them at no cost. There's a
I love
lot of
it.
resources with public entities, with the government, that there's a lot of training out there that, like we said before, the lack of information, we're going to provide them. And those that are serious about wanting to do business with the government, we're going to literally take them by the hand, show them what this information is at,
Mhm.
put the information in front of them, and you know what? The rest is on them. You can only pull the horse to the lake, right?
To
To
the water, that's right.
the water, but you can't make them drink. But if they're thirsty and they want us to guide them to that water, we'll help them get there.
There you go. And I'm imagining that, along the way, if someone has a question or they kind of have a challenge of some sort, they can reach out to someone that they've connected to there, which is the important part in the beginning. Like you're having that ability to network before you get started, so that, when that time comes that you hit that roadblock or you hit that challenge or you got that question, you can say, "Oh yeah, I remember so and so from this time when we met before the presentation, and now I can get in touch with him or her." I think
Yeah.
that is gold right there. No, that's
Absolutely.
titanium.
And
Forget
the other
gold.
the other thing that I wanted to mention, Claudia, is that we're also talking with your education chair from NHBO. So because this is a collaboration with NHBO as well,
Hmm.
and we want to make this a continuous program where we provide those resources to the people that are on NHPO. They want this information. We're going to guide them. And then, as the program evolves, we're going to exclusively do mini sessions that would cater to exclusively to NHPO
Yes.
members. That's why it always pays to become a member, and not just become a member, but to serve your organization.
Yes. Be that servant leader. That's what
There
it's
you go.
about. Be that servant leader. Yes, our education chair, got to make sure that we make that connection, continue going and furthering, our goals. Sometimes we don't even know what goal we want, but figuring that out, like you said, develop that, have your objective, because I want to go, I want to learn, because perhaps, like I said earlier, I'm ready to do something outside of education. And I have so many skill sets. I started a school from the ground up. I was a principal. I hired. I created. I collaborated. So I'm ready to see what else is out there for La Super Comadre. Whether I create the position or there is a fabulous one out there that I can take and make it even better.
That is amazing, because you could just become an educator within the construction industry, and that could be powerful with your experience in education, combining our experience in the construction industry and our know-how. I mean, it's powerful what we could do, so we could serve our community, because the
Yes,
greatest thing that a human being could do is not how much money we could make, how much things we could gather or obtain, but the most important thing is how many people we could serve and how
exactly.
many people we could impact. So, super comadre,
Exactly.
come up for the challenge.
I'm up. I'm up for the challenge. And one thing that I always will share that someone shared with me is, when you're doing the work that you love, when you love the work that you do, the income will follow. The financial piece you will be, taken care of. Because, and that's what I always tell my two girls too. What do you like to do? What's your talent? What is your passion? What is your love? Maybe you don't know it right now. Maybe you have several, but think of how amazing it would be to turn that passion or that love or that talent into what pays for you to live, and to buy the things you want, to put money away and save it for your future. That's what I always, share. I always remember the story when I was an assistant principal. I was already on the path to becoming the principal of the school I was at. It was a done deal. The principal had told me, "I want you." And there were two assistant principals there. I'm not going to mention his name, But she said, I want you, I'm going to be retiring in 3 years. In 3 years, I just want you to take over. And I said, yes, ma'am. And then an opportunity came up with an organization of charter schools that was growing. And I knew about these charter schools because I knew the creators when they were barely first, second year teachers. And I would go and volunteer with one of them when he was a second year teacher after school. And I had a chance to see these two teachers develop this program called the KIPP schools. And then we just kept in touch. I didn't know I was networking.
There
Now
you
I know
go.
what I was doing. We kept in touch, and next thing you know, I was at the airport in Las Vegas coming back from LA, and I was waiting for my connecting flight, and there was this tall person that looked really familiar. And I was like, is that so and so? And then I noticed his bag, and his bag said KIPP. And I said, that has to be the person I used to know years ago. So I tapped him on the shoulder. He turned around and I said, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but I used to know your roommate, blah, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, I remember you. What are you up to? And I said, well, I'm actually an assistant principal. It's my 3rd year, blah, 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 blah. He said, oh, well, did you know that we're opening up baby KIPP? And I said, baby KIPP, what do you mean? He's like, we're opening up an elementary school because we've only opened up middle schools at that point. They never went down. They never went up. They were just middle school years. And I said, no, I haven't heard. What? Tell me more. He said, yeah, we're opening this summer. Are you interested? And I said, well, yeah. What? How can this? What? Here's my number. I had no idea I was networking at that moment. I was just giving him my number. I'm like, yeah, here's my number. Here's my email. By the time I got home, 4 hours later, got off the plane, got home, just opened up my big old. At that time, it was a big gigantic screen monitor on your desk and the big old CPU, and you had to turn it on. And there was that little Running Man. The AOL.com. Turned all that on. I saw by the time I got home, there were emails flying back and forth between the principal that was hired to open up the school. The two creators of KIPP were emailing each other and then emailing me. And they said, hey, we would like for you to meet the principal. So I took the interview, went on the interview. That was in February. I got hired on the spot. But I didn't tell my principal until months later because I wanted her, I owed it to her to continue the work that I was doing for the students. And then I gave her the heads up with time so she could find someone. But I took a step back. I was on my way up, but I took a step back into the classroom as a pre-K teacher. One, because I wanted to know what it was like to open up a school from the ground up as a teacher. Two, I did not know anything about pre-K, and I wanted to know what I was going to put my teachers through if I were to, because I was going to open up a school. My goal was already, I'm opening up the next school for you. And then 3, I wanted to learn what it was like to be an administrator in a public charter school versus a public school. So I always, and I was criticized. Oh, you're going to go back. You're taking a step back, and that's not good. You're going backwards. You should think about it. You have stability over here. You shouldn't leave. And this is family and close friends. The principal said, you know what, Claudia? I have faith in you that you're going to do an amazing job. I will always be here for you. You call me, you text me, anything you need for your school, I will be here for you. Y me mandó con la bendición. And to this day, she's still one of my mentors as well, Miss Garza. She was the one that was always there. I don't know what I'm doing. I have a question. How did you take care of this? Who do I call? And she was always there to support. The power of networking. I had even no idea what I was doing at that time, that was networking. But I always had an objective. And I had some kind of a plan. And I always put myself out there.
And you took action.
And I took action. You never know. You need to tap. I always talk about, because I tapped on his shoulder. And I keep putting my hand up here high because the guy was tall. You need to tap on people's shoulders. Don't walk away wondering, even though it might be uncomfortable for many of us who are not used to putting yourselves out there. And if you what could go wrong? What's the worst that can happen? The worst thing that can happen is that you didn't tap them on the shoulder and ask. That's the worst thing.
Absolutely. I'm with you 100%. And you know what? Sometimes we're afraid.
Yes.
We're afraid. We're afraid to fail. We're afraid to succeed. And, if you had not tapped him on the shoulder, that opportunity would have never come your way.
Exactly. Exactly. So I want to close now with a picture that is showing on the screen right now. Talk to us about los siete códigos secretos para el éxito. And you have it right there.
Okay, so this is a book that really is dear to my heart because during the pandemic we had to reinvent ourselves, we had to recreate ourselves, and what happened was that working for the government, right mid March, they said, you know what, we're shutting down. You're going to go work from home. And right around that time, at the beginning of mid March, well, in mid March, my father got sick. My father
Mm,
got sick, and then he got COVID. A week later, he died.
mm.
A month later, my youngest, my father's youngest brother, my uncle, also got COVID and died.
Oh my
And
gosh.
you could be a positive person, you could be
Yeah.
a positive, but you always have to know that we're all human beings and we all
Yes.
have emotions. And it was a devastating time for me. And
Mm.
the government said take whatever time you need to heal. I think I took a couple of days, and then after that I said, you know what, I need to do something. I need to be productive, and I need to go and create, like you, just like you were
Mm.
saying, Super
Mhm.
Comadre, you are a creator. We all are creators. And I said, you know what, I had written the seven secret codes to success about a year ago, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna write the book in Spanish, publish it in Amazon in memory of my dad and my uncle. And sure enough,
Oh.
the first book took me 4 years to write and publish. This one took me about 31 days. And I'm not
Wow.
saying this to impress anybody. I'm saying this, that when you have a purpose in life and you have a goal, just like you said, you have that goal, that desire of moving up. I had that desire of reinventing myself and living my dad's legacy through this
Mm.
book. Just like you were saying that your mentor lives in your heart, this is how my father and my uncle lives on in my life. And this book meant so much to me because it gave me an opportunity to share my message about what I've learned in personal development for over 25 years. And people, I got invited about during the pandemic to be in a show with over 150 coaches. I am not a coach. I always tell people, if anything, life has certified me as a coach. And I got invited because of this book, to talk about this book. And I was in that program for over a year. And I had gotten invited to several other speaking engagements virtually. And now we're going to participate with Vive tu Propósito.
Woo! Powerful collaboration, powerful connection. Wow. I am inspired. I always say to my listening audience and my viewing audience that everyone that crosses La Super Comadres, platform is for a reason. Because not only am I sharing this person and this resource, this amazing human being who is you today for others, but I always walk away learning. I am so honored to have you here on with me. I am blessed. I want to now say I am blessed and highly favored because
Amen.
you crossed my path, and I've learned so much, and that's what it's about. It's moving forward. You are a connector, you are a creator, you are there to facilitate, you are there to guide, and I am excited to also attend your online Women in Construction Summit. I am going to be there and support, but I'm going to be there to learn because that's what I always tell my teachers that I've always trained in the past. The best teachers are the teachers that remain students.
It's interesting. One of the things that you said, all the qualities that you had mentioned about myself is just a reflection of who you are, because you have been that servant leader. You have been that inspiration to your community. You have been putting yourself out there. And you know what? We're just a reflection of who we are. So, if you're not attracting the people that you want in your life, that's okay. You could become a better you. There's still tomorrow. And you know what? Even better, there's still right now
Right
that you could
now.
change and be a reflection of who you want to attract. Because you know what? My mentors used to tell me, and my good friend Maria Revelar would always say, we become the average of the 5 people we hang around the most. Now, if you're hanging out with broke people, if you hang around with 5 broke people, you know who's going to be number 6? So don't hang out with broke people. Hang out with big-minded people, people
Yes.
that are thinking bigger dreams, and do not share your big dreams with little dreamers because they're dream killers.
I love that. Do not share your big dreams with little
Dreamers,
dreamers
because they
because
will
they are
kill your dream.
dream killers.
There you go.
That is amazing. Is that one of the secrets in your book?
No,
Or
that one just came from my heart.
is that the title of the next book?
Perhaps maybe the one that you're going to write.
There you go. I think we're ready. I think I'm ready because I'm already looking at the outline in my mind. There is an outline of my book, and I'm a kind of person that needs to collaborate because I don't work well by myself. So I need people around me, and you're right about the people that you surround yourself. And when you talk about being broke, it's not just we're not talking about money. We're talking about heart, passion, goals, dreams, plans, everything, because you're absolutely right. Absolutely right about that. It's surround yourself. I always say love and light. I send people love and light. I literally do. I talk, and I usually put my hand over my heart. And if at some moment I need to send something to someone, I will put my hand over my heart and I'll send them a message, just in my mind or out loud. I don't tell them directly because they're not in front of me, but I know that at some moment that I feel that someone needs something, or if I read someone post something and they need a prayer, it's all about, I literally sit and I think of light shooting out of me and somehow telepathically sending peace and calmness and love and light, because it's all we can do.
It's interesting. We said, right, we attract who we become. The conference that Estela's going to have is Vive tu propósito, live your life purpose. It's no coincidence that the first secret code that I write about is consigue tu propósito de vida. Find your life purpose. It's no coincidence. It's no coincidence. You know what? When this book was already written, great opportunities, great things are going to happen. They're bound to happen. Y como dicen en español, cuando el estudiante está listo, el maestro o la maestra se asoma.
There you go. Exactly. So, Super Comadre Liliana, thank you so much for always being here and supporting all of my.
And thank you for bringing such great people to your show so we can learn, so we can listen, so we can share their information with the world.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
So, yeah, I can't believe we're already at the end. It goes by so fast. So I want to take the time to thank my super compadre, my new super compadre, Pablo Fabrizio Valle, who is here, the godfather of networking, who just shared his heart, his soul, his passion, his life journey, and also Women in Construction Summit coming up and this August the 26th, as well as his participation in the Vive tu Propósito conference that's coming up with Estela Lopez and the 2 other amazing women writers. Can you tell their names real quick?
Mariel
and Clarice y Mariel.
There you go. So Clarice. I'm excited. Thank you so much. Final few words from Pablo and then Liliana. Final parting words, Pablo, for your listening audience.
All I want to say is that I am truly blessed and highly favored, and you too could be that way when you surround yourself with great super comadres like Claudia and Liliana. Thank you so much.
Gracias. Thank you. And super comadre Liliana?
Thank you. Well, we want to thank our sponsors again. Thank you for being part of RadioCrystalUSA.com for 5 years. And we're also inviting other people who want to be part of it. Just call the number on our, it's not here, but it's called 281-258-1427, or call directly La Super Comadre Claudia Macias or myself, Liliana Elizondo.
Yes. And don't forget, as something I always say at the end of every show is, just breathe y dale un chanclazo, because that's all you can do. You got to breathe, and then whatever's coming in your way that's not helping you or supporting you, give it a chanclazo and keep moving forward. Gracias y nos vemos otra vez en una semana aquí en la grabación de la Super Comadre Claudia de RadioCristalUSA.com. And don't forget that the show repeats every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 10 o'clock in the morning and again at 10 o'clock at night on RadioCrystalUSA.com. And don't forget to follow, share, like us, subscribe to us. We're on YouTube. We are on a number of social media platforms. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. So there's so many ways you can connect with us and watch the show again and again. Adiós y hasta la otra. Bye.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Música variada, interesantes shows en vivo, tu mejor opción en internet, Radio Cristal USA.